No fear of that.
The time is now 6:32 p.m., calling this meeting to order. Tonight we have Councilmember Yarbrough, Mayor Pro Tem Mize, and Councilmember Cornelison present. Absent is Councilmember Rodriguez and Councilmember Hodges. A quorum is present. Tonight the invocation will be from Christopher Lane from Watershed of Godley. If you could please come on up and rise for that, and after that will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
May everyone bow their heads. Thank you, Lord, for this day. I pray for our city leaders, our school board leaders, our school board members, and for all of our first responders. Please be with all of our students and teachers and keep them safe. I pray that our leaders would make godly decisions and that His ways would guide their decisions. Lord, we love you and we thank you for your death on the cross to pay the price for our sins. I pray for all people to know you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Good job. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, sir. Next agenda item is public input. We have one person signed up to speak, Ms. Courtney Moncrief. Give me 1 second here. You'll have 5 minutes. I'll let you know when you have 1 minute left, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Courtney Moncrief, and I'm currently running for City Council Place 3, which is pretty big shoes to fill. Thanks, Scott. I haven't attended many meetings in person because I have a little one at home, but I do watch meetings through the live stream and online. But rest assured, I've already made arrangements to be able to attend meetings if elected. This is very exciting for me, and I love to be able to give back to the community in this way. I wanted to be sure to take a few minutes to come and speak today in person, as it's the last meeting for several of you, and you will be missed. On behalf of me and members of our community, I want to extend great gratitude in saying thank you for all that you have done. For your time, dedication, discussions, questions, and decisions in making our city better each day as we grow. There was a lot of sorting and organization needed, several positions to fill, and lots of analyzing, reviewing, and playing catch-up to do. Also, this plus more while continuing and complying with timelines for our new city business as well. Between council members, staff, mayor, y'all have done a great job. Briefly, I'll close out with saying thank you again. I sure look forward to the opportunity to possibly be able to take the baton and keep running with it. Y'all have all cut a great path, and of course there's more to continue on and do, and always will be. Thank you for giving your time to this community that we all call home. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. You might have two more. You might have two more. Moving on to Mayor, Council Reports, Presentations, Proclamations. There is not anything listed, but I do want to take this minute to thank Public Works and for the work down at the park for the Spring Fest this weekend. The park looked great. Thank the fire department and the police department for their contributions, and specifically, I need to thank the staff, because without them, that event would not have taken place. So I do just want to recognize them and thank them. Moving on to item 6, the consent agenda. I have 2 items on the consent agenda. Discuss, take possible action on approval of the Godley City Council minutes from the regular meeting held on April 1st, 2025, and the department reports.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Have a motion by Councilmember Yarbrough and a second by Councilmember Cornelison to approve the consent agenda. Further discussion? In the future, can we see about putting the vendor list back into what's posted publicly? Any further discussion? Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Going on to new business. Item A, discuss and consider taking action to approve a resolution R-04-2025-31, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Godley, Texas, adopting financial policies, providing for prudent financial management of all funds to enable the city to maintain a long-term, stable, and positive financial condition, and provide guidelines for the planning and operation of the city's financial and debt-related matters, and providing an effective date.
Mayor and council, this is another policy that we need to put in place for the financial responsibility and transparency of the city. This talks about, and on the policy talks about our debt management and our general, if there's any general obligation bonds or certificates of obligation bonds. It also talks about revenue bonds, tax notes, public property, lease purchase agreements, and other obligations permitted to be issued or incurred. So this is the final part. You've already approved a purchasing policy that everyone abides by. This is the financial policy that we need to have in place for a future financial as we move forward.
Who would
And-
manage this policy? I mean, is it the city that manages the financials, or do we hire someone that has to do this? I wasn't quite sure on that.
It's the policy that I will follow for
Okay.
financial. And, we'll bring those kind of things to you, certificates of obligation. It talks about reporting monthly and such as that, but this is part of the transparency, the STAR program you want to be a part of. This, along with adopting this, will also prepare us in the future for the need of issuing debt as well. So this needs to be a part of our policies.
I asked yesterday approximately where we're at on our how many months current budget reserve we have.
And I'm gonna say 60 to 90, because those numbers are being figured out right now. You've never had that number come up yet, or it's never been figured, but I think you have between 60 and 90 days operating. I think you have more than that, actually. But you remember when I got here, everything was being lump summed into pool cash, and it wasn't being designated over. Since then, I've done that twice. So those bank statements are now being reconciled so that we kind of have a better idea. And that's being done quarterly now. So every quarter, those monies that need to go to EDC, that need to go to the wastewater impact fees and the water impact fees, all of those are being separated like they're supposed to. So I just asked our CPA that question the other day, And he said, I can safely say 60 to 90 days working capital that we have in reserves. But he said it's probably more than that. Those are some of the things that this policy requires that I bring to you on a monthly basis.
This policy was designed around the STAR program.
It's actually, it was given to us by Hilltop Securities. And that's who we'll be using in the future for issuing any debt. But it does make us in compliance with that. So once this is adopted, then I'm following the same rules I have to follow for the STAR project.
I'll make a motion to approve item A as written.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Councilmember Yarbrough and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mize to approve item A as written. Is there further discussion? Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. On to item B. Discuss and take possible action to adopt Resolution R-04-2025-32, authorizing the mayor to enter into an advanced funding agreement with TxDOT for the upgrade and installation of traffic signage and pavement markings at railway, highway crossings. Ms. Winkle?
And I wrote this communicator, but I'm gonna let Danny kind of go over what this is gonna mean. But I think it only affects really one crossing area. Did we lose the picture?
The picture was only there.
There it is.
Railroad.
So I'm gonna let Danny talk about this. I wrote everything that, in the communicator on the information part.
All right, thank you, Angie. So really, this kind of just is limited to one crossing, and it's going to be East Railroad down here behind the hardware store. Comes around, goes over. There was a Cleaners, an old, you know what I'm talking about, down here on the end of Railroad. You go over that crossing and it makes that nose and goes into the highway. They're going to be redoing that crossing. That's actually our road versus, say, like right here is TxDOT Road, Pearson, or 2331. That's a TxDOT Road. They take care of that. This one is ours. They're going to come in. They're going to redo the signage and everything, but we have to maintain that signage afterwards. But it's really not going to be any real impact to my budget. It's a sign just like the rest of the sign all over town for those, and then some painting on there. But if you guys have ever used that, you know it is in bad need. It's a pretty rough crossing right there, and so they're going to come in and redo that. And this is saying that we're going to maintain those signs on our own road anyways. So that's what this is. I know there's a lot to that, but really it specifically calls out this one road in this agreement. So
Gonna rework the road?
we're at the crossing, not the whole road, but the actual
10
crossing.
foot each side of the track, something like that?
Yeah, typically it's, it doesn't say specifically in here, but it's gonna be, I don't know, anywhere from 10 to 20 foot, because, if we're closer than 20 foot, we get into their right of way, the railroad. I believe that's actually a 50-foot right of way through there, but, it's just the crossing itself, so they're gonna go a certain amount either way.
Are we planning on doing anything budget-wise next year to complete what they're done, to finish what they starting?
So, that's getting off into another subject, but we do have plans for next year for roads.
Right now, you go like this the whole time, I don't wanna go like this, and then do
Yeah.
this again.
Yeah. On this crossing?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're basically getting this reworked at TxDOT's cost, right?
Yeah, so TxDOT, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but yeah, they're going to get funding to do this, to work with the railroad to get this fixed, so.
Motion to approve item B as written.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Councilmember Yarbrough and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mize to approve item B as written. Further discussion? Would you tell me attachment C was in that packet, Brittany?
Oh, me, sorry.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
So attachment C is the contract with TxDOT and the railroad. We didn't attach it because there were some changes that had to be made, so that it was pulled out. I can send it out to you once it's finalized, but we didn't include it because we were waiting on TxDOT to approve the changes from our legal team.
Did they do that?
Will they do that?
Did they?
Did they accept the changes? I don't know. I
We
wasn't-
haven't heard that part yet.
No, but I will say, I guess it goes back to Lindsay, but I think it was a lot of minor changes. It wasn't anything significant. Probably the way it was,
She hits grammar a lot.
grammar, yeah, she's big on grammar. I would say, or I know there's nothing
Love it.
really significant. I read over it.
Okay.
Further discussion? Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. On to item C. Discuss and take possible action to approve the first quarterly payment due to Rosemary Fields LLC pursuant to the developer agreement, Article 3, Retail Wastewater Services and Wastewater Infrastructure, Section 3.08, Delivery of Wastewater Impact Fees to Owner for the months of December 2024 to February 2025 in the amount of $28,728, and authorize the city administrator to execute said expenditure. Ms. Winkle?
First, I want to correct that dollar amount. It should be $31,122. After recalculating the number of applications and invoices in here,
You said 31,122?
31,122, because there's 13 properties. We held on to the December for a while because it was just one, and so once we got a hold of the development agreement and read it all the way through, this is due by the end of April. These are due on April the 30th. So this will be the first payment that we will make to Rosemary Fields. And for the longest time, I think they only had one house built, so they really started putting those together, and this is through February so far, so there's 13 properties there now. And in the development agreement, which is in your packet, you can see that the wastewater impact fee was agreed to be refunded to them and reimbursed to them. It did say $1,500, and it says the word currently, but I checked with TOS, and what we're actually charging is what we do return, which is the $23.94, because we did increase those impact fees. So it's $23.94 now for the sewer impact fees.
Why, is this a normal agreement to where when it costs the city a whole lot of money to accept this waste, now we're giving them that money back? Is that normal?
This agreement was done in 2021.
Yeah, I know, it was done a long time.
I was gonna ask you
Uh,
why you approved it.
Well, probably because I didn't know better.
It was a 4-1 vote on August 3rd.
Who's the one?
Don't, the minutes didn't say back
It
then.
was me.
It was either you or Mike.
Of course it was.
It was either you or Papenfu, so, out of the members of that.
I don't remember. Other than it was already a done deal, and it's by the time I got on here.
Why
And
would you
it-
do something like this?
And it may be that, I think this is this the one that,
So I know there's a lift station
Yeah.
involved with that. There was a cost to the developer to put that in. And then, of course, the infrastructure that goes in. I know there's different ways to do this, and probably different ways to do this moving forward. So, but, yeah, I don't know why the agreement came out the way it did.
I wouldn't have suggested that we do this in a developer agreement, because that's the purpose of your impact fee, is the impact that these properties are having on your sewer. And that's how we make adjustments and add to our infrastructure. I personally wouldn't suggested this, so, I mean, but I can't speak for what happened before.
I can.
Maybe that's
I might
something.
use the word stupid.
Maybe that's something that they thought, would work out to get this group to start building, because you do have other development agreements. Now, you have one, but that's through EDC. So this is a little bit different.
Regardless
I
of
can't
how,
tell you why.
regardless of how we feel about it, we do have a legal signed document that said we're gonna do this.
That's right.
Yep.
I have a question. Is this coming out of, the impact fees fund?
Yes.
So does this not have to go to the capital improvements committee first?
No,
It does not?
no. It wouldn't. It's not a capital improvement.
Isn't that where the impact fees go?
If I was gonna spend money on it, but this money has been accepted and being returned prior, for a development agreement.
Okay.
I'm not gonna expend funds for infrastructure.
Okay.
I checked, because I questioned that.
Okay.
So I did check on that.
Make a motion to approve the item as it's written.
Okay, I'll second it. It has to be done. Under protest.
Yeah, I didn't say I liked it.
I hear you. I'm with you.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Mize and a second by Councilmember Yarbrough to approve item C as written. Further discussion? Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
I will vote I'll vote what I think we want to say no.
Motion passes 2-1. On to item D, discuss and consider taking action approving and authorizing the city administrator to execute a contract for professional services with Mead and Hunt, Inc. to assist with the review of the city's proposed wastewater treatment services to its citizens and comply with the requirements established by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ, for wastewater treatment plant operations. Ma'am?
This contract is, was sent to us by Tignall and Perkins, our current engineers, and they asked that we bring this to the council. As you know, we've talked to you before about the need of expanding the sewer services or our wastewater treatment area. And a couple of things I wanted to point out in the exhibits, the Exhibit A that is in this contract, items 1, 2, 3, and 7 goes over the permitting history, the timeline, and the recommended path forward. In Exhibit A, items 4 and 6, these two items will be something that Tignall, Perkins, Mead, and Hunt will work closely together on with an exchange of data and projections, along with a few scenarios to make the best alternatives. And Exhibit A, item 5, they will assist with the need from the treatment engineers for planning and scoping and providing budgetary estimates, which will depend on the number of meetings that they'll have back and forth, and meetings with Danny, because they'll have to meet with Danny. So they're gonna be a part of the expansion that we're gonna be bringing in the very, very near future to the council. But the first thing that they're gonna start working on is the history, and Danny can speak to this a lot better than I can, but, when I talked to Tignall and Perkins, they said they didn't feel like this would exceed 50,000, but they did want us to know that we will be in touch with Mead and Hunt, and as they get closer and further out that they're doing the work, if it looks like we're getting anywhere close to 50,000, there's a lot more work to do. I may have to come back and ask for an adjustment. So, but they don't feel like it would exceed 50,000 for the work that they're gonna be doing.
You told me previously that the way TCEQ is, we have to have a third-party review what's being looked at. So that's part of the reason this,
And
we need to do this.
And that's part of these, being able to use the wastewater impact fees as well on the infrastructure, on the expansion. So they'll do all this review. And I think they're just, you know a little bit more about it than I do.
So Mead and Hunt this is what they do. They get you ready to do an expansion. They make sure that you're doing all the TCEQ regulations. They make sure that you're straight. They're talking with TCEQ, and they know what to do and when to do it. They know that if you go over a certain flow, you gotta have a certain amount of capacity for this rule and that. That meat and hunt that's what they do. That's all they do every day. Or they have a department that's all they do, day in and day out. So, they have a relationship with the state. They know you call this department, you do this, to make it go as seamless as possible. Bringing them on, they're more specialized than Tignal, and they'll be able to help lead through that. There's a lot coming up that I can't really discuss until we maybe have that agenda item, but they will be crucial in getting us teed up to do that, for an expansion at the wastewater plant. So that's the reason we're wanting to bring Mead and Hunt on, to make sure that we don't miss a box that needed to be checked. And, to help design, they'll help with the design as well on that a little bit to get it there, so.
Yeah, and
Sounds
we
like you
don't,
might have worked with them before.
I have not personally worked with them, but I have met with them several times to kind of discuss, to get this agreement here. My background, I worked for an engineering firm. I've worked with lots of firms over the years. These guys, they answer your questions before you ask them. So I'm very confident in that. Wasn't really an interview, but our meetings, if you will, but we're asking questions to kind of see, do these people know what they're talking about? And most certainly exceeded that, for sure.
I think the biggest thing too is we don't want to come back in 5 years and say, oh, we need to expand again. They're actually going to look at the demand of our current population and our future population with the developments that haven't hit the ground yet. So that's the most important thing to me, and that's what Danny and I both told them. We don't want to come back. We want to be able to prepare for the future, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of money.
Sure.
But
And I don't want to, and not trying to
No.
correct Angie, yes, there's going to be an expansion, and yes, there will probably be more in the future with the growth the way it is. So don't take that the wrong way. But they're going to give us a good estimated cost of an expansion. So when we get ready to fund that, we fund it one time, and we're not coming back saying, hey, we missed it, we need more money. That's what they do. They're going to get us they're going to be crucial in getting us a good price. So when we do go to funding, we're confident that we're getting what we need and not coming back to the council. When you're doing an expansion to this size, you gotta be right. And that's the reason we need this help.
Has this agreement been signed off by our attorneys on this? Have you read through this agreement?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we have.
Motion to approve item D is written.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Yarbrough and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mize to approve item D as written. Further discussion? I'm sorry, my mic wasn't on. Let me say that again. I have a motion by Councilmember Yarbrough and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mize to approve item D as written. Further discussion? Councilmember Yarbrough.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Item E, discuss and take possible action to consider the acceptance of Hadley Farms Park as an additional park for the citizens of Godley, Texas, located at 240 Amelia Avenue in Hadley Farms subdivision. Ma'am?
okay, last one. Hadley Farms, I think I talked about this in 24. And when we brought this to you the first time, they did not have any ADA compliant inspections done. So we went back, sent them back and had them do that. We met with Access 817 Inspections, who does disability, the ADA compliance requirements. They had a few adjustments to make. They did those. Our Public Works Director has met with them and their staff and his staff and received training on a splash pad that is on that property, the mechanics and the maintenance to winterize that property where the splash pad is. They also had to make some changes to their parking and access, and that's been addressed. Danny has gone out both times when they've done the inspections, and then he went for the final inspection. And there's a memo in here where he recommends accepting the park as it meets the requirements for ADA and all the parking requirements that we asked for.
So you're good with it, Director Armstrong?
I am, and I also want to kind of ease you a little bit. You hear about splash pads on the news. This is not recycled. This is fresh water every time. Where you run into the issues is where they recycle the water, retreat it again, and then keep using it. That's when you have issues. This is fresh every time. It goes down the drain, and every time it comes on, it's come from the tap. The water is coming from Johnson County Special Utility District, but it will be on our rounds. We'll check the chlorine on that, and we'll just make it part of our daily rounds as we're checking the plants. But just wanted to ease your mind. There's lots of information about splash pads out there. Become a really big deal several years ago. This is not the same type of splash pad that has the issues, especially during the summertime when it's getting used all the time. That water is going to be going through there, but it's fresh water. It's no different than going to your faucet and turning it on. Same thing.
Who
So
pays that water bill?
that'll come over to the city. So
What's it running now?
what's that?
What did it run last summer?
I do not know. No, it wasn't ours, and we weren't looking at it last summer. But super simple. And when it says splash pad, it's not a huge splash pad. There's 3 or 4 jets that shoot up, and it has a timer. We control that timer on how long we want those to come on before you have to push the button again. So we can kind of control how that goes. That's what the training was on. There's some software that comes with it. You plug it in and do make your adjustments. Winterizing is super easy. You can turn it off. One drain valve, drain everything out. So it's a nice little park. There's a half-court basketball court there. Very, very well built. It came with a packet. It comes with a packet, and a box and all the tools and everything. It's all in one. So it's going to be a nice addition to the city for the citizens. So.
What kind of parking is it? 'Cause did y'all, what's the change and what's there now? Doesn't
So-
show any in this picture, which I'm sure
Yeah,
is
Last
the old
page.
picture.
Yeah, so the parking is on the street, and there's places right there. There's parking places that are painted. I could probably pull that up here. I get to talking and forget I can show you. Let's see. Can you? Yeah, how do you turn it?
Turn the computer.
Yeah, let me turn my laptop.
That would be it.
I don't think that one shows the markings of the parking,
No, it
but the
does not.
parking is that area.
So along the street and then back up the,
Is it right here?
yeah, right
that
here,
way.
I can. Yeah, it's not on there, but along the street, there's parking places, there's handicap, and then up that other street along the I call it the south side of the road there's parking places to park. So it's a nice park. There's your splash pad, and that's pretty much what it looks like. Few heads that spray up. There's some picnic tables with some cover on it. It's a nice little park.
Playground has the required cover,
Yeah.
shade cover that's required.
This is contractual, isn't it? We agreed to this in a developer's agreement.
There's a second park coming out of that, Taylor? Is there? Is there another park from that?
That I'm not sure of.
No,
I do.
there
think so.
was a park that was going to be on is this the east side or the west side?
That's right. Yeah,
There was gonna be another one, but what they did is ended up taking the basketball court and moving it over here. And so that the park was in one area. But the other side is where the lift station is. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, if you know where the lift station is, there's a wooden fence. As soon as you pass Hadley Road, I call it 907 still, but it's East Godley. Just as soon as you pass Hadley, there's a gas pad there. We have a wastewater lift station, and there's 2 acres there. That's where the other park was gonna go, but they opted to not do that and move the basketball over here. And I think there was probably parking and stuff issues that were with the other side. So I'm still researching that other side as well. But as of right now, this is the only park that we know of.
What's this gonna add to your parks budget for mowing and landscaping and
So,
time?
as far as time, I don't have figures, but I do know I have a cost to do the pre-emergent fertilizer stuff, and it's $300 a year to do. I think there's 3 applications, 2 maybe there's 4 applications, 2 and 2 pre-emergent and fertilizer. There's the spring and then the fall pre-emergence, and then fertilizing twice a year, I believe. I'd have to look. So the cost was relatively low, I thought, for that part of it. And then, of course, the Parks Department's gonna have to mow it and maintain it, so there's time there as well. And I do not know what that dollar figure's gonna be. I figure it's probably gonna take them, it's all open with the zero-turn mower. Weed eating's gonna take a while, so maybe 2 to 2.5 hours of mowing and weed eating at this park. And that'll probably be, more than likely, it has an irrigation system. It's a very, very nice park if you've not seen it. So mowing it is gonna be a lot easier than, say, just a pasture, you know. But it's gonna be, 2 to 2.5 hours once a week during this time of year for sure. Summertime, that'll slow down. I think if you guys are okay with it and accept it and everything goes well, then I think it would be really good to put it out there and advertise that the city has a second park, because it is on the back side of Hadley over there, and it's kind of out of the way. So if you don't know, it's there. But me for one, I'm pretty excited. You know, it's a small splash pad, but you don't have to drive and go to Joshua or somewhere else. You can be right here in town. So.
It's definitely a benefit to the city and to the citizens to have,
Well, and beyond that, we don't
Another
have a
part.
choice, because it's
well, yeah.
contracted, so.
We're trying to
Make a
find a
motion to approve item E
positive.
as written.
I'll second.
I'll third.
All right, I have a motion by Councilmember Yarborough, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mize, and a third by Councilmember Corneliuson to approve item
E.
E as written. Further discussion?
I just, at some point in time, we may have a little bit of a problem. It's our park, it's not your park, and get out of my splash park, but we got a police chief that can handle that. So, good enough.
Councilmember Yarborough.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. On to items of community interest. Friday is Good Friday. The city offices will be closed. Early voting is at City of Godley Pavilion, Tuesday, April 24th and 25th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday, April 28th, and Tuesday, April 29th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Is there anything else I'm missing, ma'am?
I don't think so. Just want to, and I want to say thank you to all the staff that worked at the Spring Fest, and especially Danny and his crew. They all worked pretty hard, so, and I think everybody had a good time. And I think we had a great bunny. So, and it didn't have to be me. That made it even better.
With no other community interest, there is no executive session tonight. Is there any further business? No further business. This meeting will be adjourned at 7:11 p.m.